Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Rod Fleming in the Philippines here, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and please go to one of the sites, addresses of which I will give you, and contribute a little something. You know, there's over 300 videos on this site, this channel, and they give you information you will not get anywhere else, so please. Or go to my own site, buy one of my books. They're really good books, great read. Anyway. You can buy them in any good bookshop as well, by the way, you know. Anyway, I want to talk about the attack on true transsexuals, which has been carried on for years now by fashionista wannabes, whom we will generally call on this channel transtrenders. Now, they have invented a name for people who actually are transsexual, and they call them true scum, right? And what that means is true transsexual scum. This is really nice, isn't it? So the people who are actually transsexual are the people whom the transtrenders, who call themselves trans, hate the most. They really detest them. Because obviously, you know, there are people who are saying, well, you know, you don't have to do anything to be trans. Just say you're trans and you're trans. It's all, you know, that's it. If you identify yourself as trans, you're trans. And then an HSTS walks in the door, you know, she looks gorgeous. She's incredibly feminine. Everybody goes, wow, who's that? And of course, the whole pyramid of lies that the transtrenders have constructed. And they call themselves too cute. By the way, it's like, what's cute about you? And mostly it's girls with blue hair, you know, and they think that makes them cute. And geeky glasses. They love wearing geeky glasses. I don't know why. Anyway. The existence of HSTS completely destroys their whole conceptual base, right? Because here you have people who successfully do transition. They were born male, but now they're girls. So we have this issue here, which is essentially an attempt to completely destroy HSTS, because, as I say, anytime an HSTS walks into a situation where there are all these transtrenders pretending to be something that they're not, that's it. Their cover's blown. It's like, you're just ordinary girls usually, ordinary boys, with, you know, some silly clothes on. That's it. You're not making any effort whatsoever to actually transition. That's the whole point. But of course, they call people like me who think, well, you know, you're going to have to take some hormones, because if you just let yourself masculinize, if you're male, then you're just going to turn into a man. By the time you're 24, that's it. You're going to be completely indistinguishable from any other man, because remember, they're not homosexual. Most of them aren't homosexual, they're just transtrenders. And that's really shocking to them, you know. It's like that, oh God, so you must be a quote, a medicalist, which again they hate, because they don't take hormones and they don't have any intention of taking hormones. They're quite happy with the bodies they have. These are people who actually say that you don't have to have gender dysphoria to be trans. I mean, how absolutely ridiculous can you get? You know, I don't give a damn what kind of clothes you're wearing. Why would I care? But why would you call yourself something that you're not? Why would you sort of say, oh, I'm trans? Oh, and my pronouns are zing and zor and biggity bob and bobbity bob, you know? Why would you do that? Why would you try to make me go along with this utter garbage? You're either a boy or a girl, that's it. You're a guy or a woman, you're a man or a woman. And you can tell by looking. If people can't tell what your gender is and what therefore what your pronouns are, just by looking at you, you're doing it wrong. You don't get that. You're doing it wrong. You can't get rid of gender. The Ruskies tried. The Chinese tried. The Vietnamese tried. They all failed miserably. Because you can't get rid of gender. And this is just another attempt in, you know, inspired by that most insidious of evils, which is modern feminism, to do the impossible, to get rid of gender. Oh, don't call me she. Oh, well, that's got connotations. Terrible connotations. So these are the people who are really causing problems at the moment. The AGPs have always caused problems for HSTS, and they always will. But they're identified. They've been identified, and they find it difficult now to monster the mainstream in the way that they once did. I mean, nobody's listening to people like Jack Malay anymore. You know, they're like, yeah, we know what you are. People like Tailcold, runs a site for autogynephiles called autogynephilia.com or something like that, and pretends to be a completely neutral observer, just measuring the statistics. It's absolute crap, and we know it. And autogynephiles, partly thanks to the efforts of people like me, have been well and truly identified, and we know who they are. We know how to identify them. You watch this channel, you will learn how to identify autogynephiles. Promise. And that hasn't stopped them in their desperate attempt to completely erase HSTS. They would be quite happy if the HSTS were all forced to be gay men. You know, that they would be delighted by that. Go back 50 years, but they are. This damn cat wants in there. It's going to have to stay outside. But they're understood. We know what they're up to. It's not a secret anymore. And you can't just get away with this sort of thing once it's all out in the open. You know, people know they're not really transsexual. People know that they're just, fetishizing guys who've got a serious paraphilia. Some of them manage it very well. I'm not saying they don't. Some of them don't manage it at all. And some of them are actually a danger. But that's a different thing. The problem today is the transtrenders. And they're the ones who because, AGP is passé. That's too old hat. And not everybody can do it. If you're not AGP, you can't really perform as an AGP. So what we needed was something that said, I can stand outside the gender binary without doing anything. I don't have to do anything. I can just say I'm something. That's what transgender is. And it's very, very dangerous. It's a symptom of the modern opportunistic left. The left is a cancer. It constantly moves into new areas. Whenever it's stopped in one, it moves into a new one. For example, in Europe, the Communist Party was never a particularly big deal in America, but in Europe it was a really big deal, and it funded political parties, unions, that sort of thing. When the collapse of the Soviet Union occurred in the mid-90s, its funding just end, flatline. That was it. I know the feeling. Anyway, that was it. They were out of dosh. No cash, no money. Can't fund all these, subversive movements and all these, PETA and CND and all the things they were funding, all the student groups they were funding, and all the propaganda outlets they were funding, the newspapers and magazines they were pouring money into. Can't do that anymore. So they had to find some other way of doing it. And isn't it a surprise that just as that happened, feminism and its antithesis, which is, you might call it radical transvestism, AGP transvestism, suddenly became so potent at that time. It's because the focus had just changed. That's all it was. It's the same people doing the same thing, but they realised that the way they were doing it didn't work anymore. So we've got to find a new way. So come forward another couple of decades, and you've got to the middle of the 50s, middle of the 10s, whatever you want to call them. And what happened? AGP is such old hat, That's just a bunch of old guys in dresses. We don't want to be that. We're too cute for that. So what we'll do is we'll just invent a new system whereby you don't have to do anything, you just say you're trans. Right? And that's just as subversive. That causes just as much damage. If you can persuade people not to use the proper words to describe you, which are he and she, his and her, then we can damage society. We can break down the non-existent patriarchy by doing that. And that's all this is about. And to that end, these people, they are absolutely happy to completely destroy and erase HSTS. I'm not going to mention any names today, but I was, provoked into making this piece by news that came this morning that a friend of mine who is HSTS, and a real lovely person, just a complete sweetheart. She had somebody found out who she was and where she lived, and so they graffitied her house with true scum, Dies true scum. It's nice, isn't it? That's the kind of people you're dealing with here. That's what these transtrenders are actually like. They're nasty, nasty people who will do anything they can to destroy true HSDS. And why? Because they're true. Keep an eye out for more. Cheers, bye.